So, as you may know, recently there's this whole conversation about bear or men going on about how women would rather be alone in the woods with a bear rather than with a man. This whole nonsense, right? Okay, listen, I mean, this is not really complicated. There are a lot of people talking about this as it as if it was like deep and profound or anything like that. Listen, when it comes to this man or bear question, it's very simple, right? It boils down to two things. Number one, it is another hate campaign against men in order to demonize them and dehumanize them, okay? And it is specifically by the feminist hate movement, as expected. And number two, we saw this when they interviewed women on the streets about this question, right? And they basically all said they would rather be alone with a bear in the woods rather than with a man, right? Which basically shows that the average woman really, dislikes men heavily, to say the least. So, again, this is a mask of moment for both the feminist movement as well as the average woman, I guess. So, this is basically just that simple, right? And hate movements in particular have always used comparisons with animals to demonize the outgroup or to dehumanize the outgroup in particular. This paper here, called Animalistic Slurs Increase Harm by Changing Perceptions of Social Desirability, goes more into this. Let me read you this. We found that describing a novel political group with animalistic slurs increased the extent to which participants endorsed harm towards them, right? So these animalistic, like, slurs and comparisons, they're intended to cause harm to the group targeted with these slurs, right? Importantly, reading animalistic slurs did not influence the extent to which participants believed the target group possessed uniquely human qualities. Rather, the animalistic slurs influenced endorsement of harm by making the target group appear more undesirable, right? So in the case of feminists using this against men, they're comparing men with dangerous animals like bears, right? So this is basically making men appear more undesirable. And basically, it's basically a threat narrative, right? Like the feminists always use against men. These findings offer a novel perspective into the nature of dehumanization and insights into how hate speech functions, right? So again, this whole discourse, which is even drummed up by the mainstream media, is just hate speech against men. It's that simple, right? And I mean, you have to really look how obvious it is now that feminism is really a hate movement. It's just obvious. I mean, look how many decades now feminists always drum up these kinds of campaigns against men, right? With the Me Too campaign and with the hashtag Kill All Men and with like men are trash. And now it's men are as dangerous as bears or even more dangerous as bears, right? The hate campaigns just never stop against men. It's just that simple, right? The hate campaigns against men never stop, and people think it's normal, and they don't have any problem with it, you know. And but let me just play the feminist game, right? Apply the feminist logic, okay, to have them basically taste their own medicine, right? So again, here are the bear attack statistics worldwide, and it says right here on average 24 deaths were caused by grizzly bear attacks in the years 2000 to 2015. So 24 deaths, right, by bears in these years, right? Meanwhile, let's look at the number of child fatalities due to abuse or maltreatment in the United States in just 1 year, in the year 2021. by perpetrator relationship, right? And you can see that the mothers cause the most child abuse and maltreatment, due to which the child died in this year, right? And it has a fatality rate of 408. So just in 1 year, mothers caused more children to die than bears in, what was it, 15 years, right? So according to the feminist logic, we can basically say that mothers are more dangerous for children than bears, according to the feminist logic, right? So yeah, as you can see, this works the other way around, dear feminists, okay? And yeah, with that, I can already throw this man versus bear question in the trash, right? But we can further look into this subject because feminists are always like, oh, the men are so dangerous at home for the women, right, due to domestic violence and things like that, right? Here's some uncomfortable data, right? More men are killed in households each year than women. Between April 2011 and March 2021, Office of National Statistics data shows some 1,695 men killed in households in England and Wales. This contrasts with 1,378 women. On average, there were 170 men killed in household-based homicide each year compared to 138 women, an almost 23% difference. So actually, it is for the man more dangerous at home than for women. Now, of course, this article says that it is like men dying at the hands of other men, right? Which feminists would immediately jump on, like, oh, look, it's actually the other man being dangerous to other men. But here's some fact that is, of course, ignored by the feminist media, and that is that women can use proxy violence. So it's not even clear that if, like, a man dies at the hand of another man in a domestic situation or in any other kind of situation, it is not even clear that whether or not a woman actually sort of incited that violence, right, or manipulated the situation, which this article actually goes more into. Killings of men are 9 times more likely to go undetected as killings of women, according to the FBI. They know that many of those killings of men are contract killings by spouses, but cannot pinpoint the exact numbers, as no in-depth studies have been done on the phenomenon of proxy killings of men. In Canada, proxy killings are also not classified under domestic violence, but as general homicides. Indeed, so strong is the prejudice against identifying women as spousal killers that sometimes an intimate partner killing by a woman of a man doesn't get reported as domestic violence. We saw that in the case of the 2007 murder of London, Ontario retired police superintendent David Lucio by his mistress, Police Inspector Kelly Johnson, who then killed herself. The crime, irrefutably an act of domestic violence, was not classified as such. As a result, the year's police statistics, since there was only one other domestic violence killing in London that year, read as 100 male perpetrated instead of 50% as they should have. Right, so a lot of male victims are not classified as domestic homicide victims by women. And here is also an excellent Reddit post that goes more into this. Underreporting of male victims of female perpetrated homicides and injuries. Women are less suspected, therefore arrested less. Male victims receive less autopsies, are passed as suicide or as accident victims. Male victims are also more likely to be incited to suicide, so they don't appear in homicide statistics because you cannot kill an already dead person. Moreover, there are papers that say that in appropriate circumstances, especially in the context of family violence, offenders should be held criminally liable for manslaughter if they cause another person to commit suicide. Male victims are more often missing people. With the missing white woman syndrome, missing men are less searched than missing women, and so missing men are less seen as homicide victims because the body is found less often. Similarly, a man who is killed by somebody without knowing by whom was killed is not counted in intimate partner homicide statistic. And fake self-defense abuse excuse can make a woman killer not guilty and therefore not counted in the statistics. So as you can see, a lot of stuff is left out of these official domestic homicide type statistics, right? So yeah, the feminist discourse is very deceptive, and as usual, again, this man or bear question is just a feminist hate campaign against men. It's just that simple. I've seen some videos on that, like from Sargon of Akkad, who talked some nonsense about how this is because of women are without orientation in the postmodern era or some nonsense like that, like typical tradcon nonsense like that. No, it boils down to women hating on men and feminists hating on men. And that's why they fearmonger and dehumanize men. It's that simple. It's really that simple. And men need to understand this, okay? Thanks for watching. And also, I want to give you a quick heads up about the situation regarding Pink Pill Watch, right? So, Pink Pill Watch, or one of our subreddits, basically got banned by Reddit. And yeah, it basically shows that Reddit is a feminist hellhole, okay? It is not male friendly, and we need to find alternatives. For those of you who don't know what Pink Pill Watch was, it was basically a subreddit which monitored feminist hate speech online and which showed screen caps of that, right? Speech that was basically extremely hateful towards men and boys, and was really disgusting. I cannot even like replicate that speech on YouTube, right? And we basically just showed how hateful feminists are on platforms like Reddit, Twitter, etc. And basically Reddit is okay with that type of behavior when it comes to feminists verbally attacking men and boys, right? So as far as I'm concerned, Reddit is okay with child abuse, because our subreddit was exposing child abuse. It was exposing that child abuse by feminists, okay? And Reddit banned our subreddit, which logically implies that Reddit is in favor of such abusive speech. So yeah, you can read this yourself, what is on screen right now, okay? I'm not going to read all this, but yeah, we submitted an appeal and it got, it didn't work, right? So yeah, thanks for watching.